All right, cryptillion crackheads, this is going to be a more normal altcoin video with BEPRO, MTV, and a couple of others, maybe Dash, Litecoin, something to that, or ViaCoin. So in my video from yesterday, which I'll tag above, which if you didn't watch that one and you're tuning into this one, maybe go watch some of the tags that are important to you on ×2 speed. You can see how my predictions just from in 24 hours have played out or not. For example, in that video that I tagged that you can click on at 10 minutes and 52 seconds, I do believe, if you skipped that part about BEPRO, I said, hey, it looks like BEPRO's got one more push within here. Maybe not breaking all time, maybe not breaking this local high, but it looks like it's got one more thrust before Bitcoin moves down. It looks like that is starting to play out. Looks like a pretty big rejection with this large candle wick here. So it looks like sellers across this asset are really stepping in at that level, which aligns with all this horizontal action. It's getting rejected from this general support area right here. So I guess resistance and support area. So it's a double. So it's got pressure from previous pressure on both sides. So and just one thing to look out for though is BEPRO does have a habit of moving like this, and it recently did just move like this. So take a look at current. So I'm on the 4-hour chart. If you can not stare at all the lines I have drawn, but rather price itself, focus your eyes in on here and on here. Pretty similar setup. Essentially a double looking top with a swoop action, potential downside, or was downside. Now, do I think it's going to be such a big downside, 70% move in one day? Absolutely not. However, the last time BEPRO moved like this, structurally, without any EMAs in question here, because the structure versus the daily 200 is totally different. The daily 200 was acting as resistance. However, I think the same pattern could play out, so the daily 200 becomes support, right? So during this pattern, 200 was the resistance. During an almost exact same pattern, I think it could become the support. So that is something I missed in my analysis yesterday, the comparison point. So let me take a quick fractal of this and show you what we got. Maybe I'll take it halfway down to here. I don't expect all that downside. So here, let me do less downside. Something like that. Now let me line up the peaks and see how well this aligns. It's almost the same time frame too, look. Harder than you think. All right, there you go. So aligning the peak with the peak, not really worried about all this stuff. It's just an up move. You can see how similar this pattern is. Recent price action took a leg up slightly more aggressively on, so this white bump right here, slightly more aggressively than it did here on that fractal. But other than that, it looks extremely similar. So taking a little bit of downside move, not to say that this is a great way to, measure and plan out price targets to the downside, especially since in that, at the end of that fractal, this was Bitcoin taking to 29K, and it's very unlikely to happen to that degree again. So you can see here that this playing out brings BEPRO back below. Actually, that's only the 400, 200 EMA. So that would be bring BEPRO. Let me get the peaks with the peaks a little bit better. It's a little too high. Something like that. So that would be, I said it again. I'll just say Bing. We're saying Bing today for bring, no R's. That would bring it very close to the daily 200, where I think it might want to base off of, somewhere around 0.0072. If it doesn't keep going down. However, that's going to be dependent on Bitcoin. So once price targets like the daily 200 are met across altcoins, I will then update my analyses on those altcoins based on Bitcoin's behavior around that area. And we'll seek out, okay, is this going to be a major bounce and now's the time to go full throttle buy-in, or something to that effect. We'll get to that point once we get to that point. Remember, the only thing that could easily foil this plan is the idea that the weekly 21 and the weekly 10 EMA are here. That could offer the support. So what might happen is it only comes back down to 0.008 and rides and rides and rides. And it might not ever touch this line again. Now, if it were to do that, it would go sideways for longer. The price, the buy-in price target would be up, to 0.0082, something to that effect. And that is something that could easily happen. Riding the weekly 21 and never coming back down to the daily 200. Totally possible. So, but I still have that price target of 0.0072 based on this idea. So that's what we got for there. MTV. So I'm not for sure what I said about MTV the other day. I said I see it potentially wicking all the way up to here, but potentially only wicking to here. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. So it looks like you're getting a pretty clear rejection from yesterday. And it looks like prices starting to succumb with Bitcoin's, what could end up being only a small correction here, if almost no correction at all. But it looks like most altcoins are starting to succumb and aren't having one more pop up, as Bitcoin is looking slightly weaker and weaker here on a short-term sense, not a long-term sense. So we never got that wick. All right. Trias. I would have the same downside targets for everything. So, check out that video that I already tagged from yesterday. I gave a bunch of downside targets. So Trias might, like I said yesterday, Trias might be one of those assets that does get a push while Bitcoin's staggering and stalling. This is really good. It did not form any bearish divergence on the daily unless, so this tick, can you see? Here, let me zoom really far in if I can. And let me stop being stupid with my mouse if I can. Okay, so you see how each of this is a tick. For example, from here to here is one tick one day. From that juncture to this juncture is 1 day. To the next juncture is 1 day, 1 day. So let's say that you're on this day here, where the green is touching the white, but the day still has 5 hours left. And in those 5 hours, price really drops. Well, this green line would actually move to here. It would go down. So during the middle of the day, these can tick this way. So we have potential bearish divergence, okay, on Trias, making a higher high in price with RSI being lower, making a lower high. However, right now, as long as the day doesn't tank on Trias, this is going to end with this above here, and you won't have any bearish divergence at all. Meaning no bearish divergence. You made a new high. The RSI on the daily of Trias just broke very nicely into the bullish control zone on its second attempt after perfectly rechecking this. I don't know, this could have more in it, even if Bitcoin goes down to like 40K. This is one of the assets where I think it has among the best chances. Am I saying that's definitely going to happen one more push? No. So, cute comments, oh, it went down. Well, I'm saying it very easily could go down. However, if there's one asset that can give a pump, while Bitcoin's stalling a little bit, this is fixing up to do just that. And so I don't know if this really, that's one strike of bearish divergence on the 4 hour. So I imagine during this hump, price made a higher high, but that's nothing. It could just be coming back down to check the moving average, which is the white line, on its way up to bounce, bounce, bounce to get fully into the bullish control zone. So I wouldn't even count this. Technically it's one minimal strike of bearish divergence. However, it is still above its moving average, and it's getting ready to get squeezed into the bullish control zone. So looking at the 4 hour chart RSI, if you see 4 hour RSI get under Trias and then get rejected from the moving average, here, let me do this. So honestly, the 4 hour chart might be or even the 2 hour and 4 hour chart on Trias. What I would look for is this. If that's the white line, which is the EMA, on the 4-hour RSI, I would personally look for at least one rejection under it, and then maybe, you know, wait for one more pop up, maybe even a squeak out a higher high like that. And then when it comes back down, that's when I would say, oh, okay, it's going to start taking a breather with Bitcoin. But as of now, I'm kind of thinking you're not going to get two rejections like that for it to come all the way back down there and then try it another time. It almost looks like it wants to try it faster. However, if Bitcoin only does a tiny correction for the next 3 days, Trias could easily give a push up. Or this could happen on Trias. So this would probably mean Trias makes a significantly higher local high, like $15, if RSI on the 4-hour were to do this. So what could happen is Trias succumbs in this area, price is going down, RSI is stuck under the moving average. As Bitcoin heads down to, let's say, 44K, then Bitcoin goes steady for a while and stops going down. It has one green day, and in that green day, Trias makes that last pump up to $15. That could be what happens. So like this could be, you know, where Bitcoin has one green day and Trias takes full advantage of that green day before then succumbing fully to Bitcoin. That might be how Trias plays out. But it could succumb immediately, and then you see all this come down. So I think the 4-hour chart's probably the chart to watch. Maybe mix that with the 2-hour chart. So on the 2-hour chart, what I'm looking at here is you don't have any rejections from under the moving average, and you're getting really close to breaking into the bullish control zone. And these spikes here mean that you're flirting with all-time highs, not quite making them. We're just barely squeaking out an all-time high by, or a local high by 1% or 2. So you can come, RSI can come right up here and may squeak out a tiny bit higher high as long as it gets really close to this bullish control zone. But maybe looking at the 2-hour, if you start getting rejections here, that would be your quicker tip than the 4-hour to say, oh, okay, it's going to take a breather. Maybe look for one more pump when Bitcoin prints a green day after a few red days. That's what I would be looking for to get one last trade out of Trias. All right, let's look at Dash. I just used Dash in one of my trading journals on Patreon today for my Crackhead and VIP tiers. So I have an overall goal. I want to take 80 Dash. Actually, no, I started with like 60. So when Dash was like 150 to $120, something like that, I ended up getting 60, just bought 60 of them. And my goal is to get to just over the next 5 years, let's say, get to 500 Dash. Okay, and so currently, even though I did not trade well during Bitcoin's wishy-washy sideways time, I still got up to 82 Dash. So that's not bad. Without using any hard-earned money, just trading, and a couple of them were bad trades. I had to wait to even barely break even, right? So over time, in the next few years, I want to see if I can get to 500 Dash. That's kind of my overall goal, just by swing trading only, not doing any day trading. Oh, this and that. Oh, it's up 2%. No. More or less, you know, selling major pivotal points and then waiting for 20% corrections, buying back and trying to do it all over again. So, and selling at key horizontals and or origin lines. But Dash, I mean, honestly, this could be another asset that might try to, just like Trias, it might try to keep marching up. Even if Bitcoin goes sideways and down, as long as Bitcoin doesn't tank, I could see Dash doing something what Trias is getting ready to do, and Dash could make it all the way up to here, like 275, while Bitcoin's not making new local highs. So stays under 46K. But as long as Bitcoin doesn't do any too aggressive downside, Bitcoin just goes sideways and down, I think Dash can still like make a move up to here. That's what I think it's possible. Do I think that's the most probable scenario? No, but I think it's very possible. And you have this channel, see these white lines here that Dash broke out of it. It might be coming back down, test the bottom of that channel with the daily 200, which is the orange line. And then you might get a significant bounce, which could gain some momentum if that bounce happens as Bitcoin prints 1 or 2 green days before potentially going down some more, having some more downside. Dash can make one more squeak out, maybe get, you know, almost to this red line, something to that effect, or just slowly keep marching up like this. But I think before, I would say Dash hits this line somewhere around 280. I would say by the middle of September. So I'm going to put a line here. Let's do the 16th. I think that's Mexico and a few other Latin American countries' Independence Day. So I'm going to write in there, dash to this line by September 16th. It's a guess, right? I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. That's just an idea that I have that looks very, very possible. And it looks like that possibility could be among the strongest 3 possibilities of what plays out for Dash between now and a month and 30 days from now. So we're at the middle of August, and that would take us to the middle of September for 30 days. So in the meantime, though, I really don't see Dash going below its daily 200 EMA. I think it might wick below 180, but I think it's going to stay above 180. So if Bitcoin makes a 16% move down, I bet Dash only wicks down 16% from its top. And maybe 20% and closes right here. And then keeps marching. And actually, that might be what Bitcoin does too. However, the reason I think Dash is potentially going to march up while Bitcoin stays stagnant, if Bitcoin stays stagnant, is that it's just well overdue. It's put in almost 1,000 days of jail time. It's ready to go, in my opinion. I think this one could end up being worth the wait, even if it's a 1.5-year wait from, you know, this higher low structure, whatever might be happening now within the whole crypto market. But I mean, I think it'd be well worth the wait. So if I could trade myself up to 500 Dash and look at it on this chart here, similar to ViaCoin. So I've done the same thing as a similar chart with ViaCoin here. So this hump, mind you, happened in May. So this was not a blow off top. The blow off top probably would have been way over here a couple years before it had it lived that. Anyway, so if Dash on this chart just meets somewhere like, let's say, not even up here, like one line down, right? So one line down. So I'm going to follow this line here and say by next May. So this is this year still. So this white line denotes this year. Okay, so let's keep going up to May. Even though I don't think I'd get to 500 Dash that fast. So I will, okay, let's say I could get to 150 Dash by then. Something like that. Independent of what Dash's value is. I just want more Dash. That is one strategy among many that I have. Typically, I trade for more dollars. But with my Dash, I just want more Dash. Because I have price targets up here, and I don't care if, you know, if I make a good trade and I gain 10 Dash, but I actually lost 200 bucks, I'm fine with that. Or even 10%, I don't care. I'm using my Dash portfolio to only get more Dash. Independent of dollar value, I'm seeing Dash for Dash. That is it. It's like digging for gold. I don't care what the price of freaking gold is right now. I don't care. I just want to dig more gold, okay? So it's along those thoughts. So if I can get to 150 Dash by the time it gets here, that's 8,600 bucks. For one Dash. Well, damn, that'd be over $1 million bucks. Shit, that'd be nice. Just on one section of my portfolio. And I think I started off with like maybe, I don't know, 7, 8, 9K in it. Let's just say 9K. So the increase in that, right, is $1,200,000 something dollars. If I can just trade it up to 150 Dash. And I've already made a big chunk in that. And let's say it takes Dash longer to get there. I don't care. If it hits this line later, well, shit, it's going to be higher. That'd be 20K. So I'm fine with the wait. That's what I'm saying. Like, if it takes longer to get this, I'm cool. I just want to sell one of these top lines. I'll probably sell 50% of what I have on that line, another 20, 10, and then if it gets past here, I'll just sell a little bit every day that it's green until it's gone. That's probably what I would do. But I don't care if this takes a year and a half to do. As you can see, the math makes sense. I didn't start with much money. It'd be over $1 million bucks. That's not really that aggressive of trading. you could really just do, so Dash is not quite as volatile as altcoins, where I could double my bag of altcoins like during altcoin season. You can do that in like 5 days. You get monster moves up and 50% moves down just 2 days later. And if you sell close to the top and just buy it when it's 50% down from where you sold, doesn't matter. Even if it goes 70% down, doesn't matter. You bought it here, and once it gets back up here, you've doubled your money by the time it gets back to the point you sold it. So, but that's doubling your US dollar value. Just to double your crypto value, that's the point where you buy it back for 50% lower than where you sold. That's the point that I'm worried about. Not necessarily worried about it coming back up to reap the benefits of double the dollar value. When it comes, it comes. Dash is a monetary coin, so I strongly believe that it will hit my targets, but to me, it's a question of when, not if. So, so that's one thing that you can add to your, mental portfolio. In addition, mixed with your crypto portfolio. Not all of your portfolio has to be dedicated towards, trading for US dollars. Some of it can be you trade like only versus Bitcoin. So for example, you trade ETH versus Bitcoin only, and all you want is either more ETH or more Bitcoin. So if you make a trade that gives you more, right, you make the right trade, but things are tanking and the dollar value of that small portion of your portfolio goes down 20% in the crash, who cares? You made the good trade. You're not worried about the dollar value, right? I wouldn't suggest do all of your portfolio that way, but you might have, if you could imagine a pie chart here, among all the other, different strategies you have within your crypto portfolio, which this might be staking, so you don't touch these coins, so it's staking. Then you have a, smaller HODL position where you just don't touch it either, but, maybe you're lending out your Bitcoin for 8% interest somewhere, something like that. Maybe you have an active trading. Maybe you have hopefully a small sliver for your futures account where you're actively trading leverage, hopefully not more than 5x leverage. So in that kind of sense here, if for example, you analyze that your amount of tether or stablecoin within a futures account is more than 10% of your portfolio, it might be wise to make it only 6% of your portfolio. Cut that portion of the pie in one more size. Make your futures go down to 6%, and take that money and get something like just whatever. You could be Veracity. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Bitcoin, but you only trade for more Veracity. And the cool thing about it is you can benchmark yourself, because you might see that this 4% out of the original. Out of the original 10% of that piece of the pie, you started out with only this piece of the pie, right? So 100% of this pie is just the full triangle. So does this triangle grow if you grow it? Absolutely. But I'm just focused on that original triangle here. You'll see that it's very likely you do better with the less stress of trading just for more of the asset, independent of price. And that 4% soon outstrips massively the value of your futures account, which was 6% and started bigger, because there's less pressure to do stupid things and get more emotional when you're not using leverage. So that's one idea for you. I wouldn't suggest do all of your portfolio ignoring US dollar amounts and trading for more crypto. However, it's a thought. And within your crypto portfolio, you should have multiple strategies, not necessarily competing against each other, but sometimes one might be a hedge. You might be holding short positions as your, long on spot, which means spot means you just hit market buy on an exchange for Bitcoin, right? Or if you just bought an altcoin that you think will explode, and you bought, you hold 25% of your portfolio in that, and you think, shoot, the market might actually turn around. What you could do to hedge against that is you could go short on leverage, or something less stressful, buy something like BTC3S on KuCoin and Huobi. And so if Bitcoin ends up moving down, that portion of your money goes up. Your 3S tokens get more and more valuable. As the altcoin that you thought was going to scream, it actually heads down. You hedge the bet with a 3S token, so your portfolio actually stays about flat. And honestly, it'll probably actually go up in that case. However, if you're right, that you think you're going to get a breakout and Bitcoin doesn't dump, and you already bought this, you just set limit stops. So get out of that trade while your altcoin that's pumping actually gets the pump. So you can get out of the 3S trade after you see your coin actually pump. So that's another way to hedge against one move. Or the way I like my portfolio, instead of directly hedging against one specific move, I simply like to have about 6 different strategies going on at once. Not that it's too busy or anything. I'm not trading like 100 altcoins. I'm not doing that. It's, for example, my staking. The only thing I do is log in once a week and put my interest back into the pot if it lets me. So for example, the coin idea, I do that probably once a week. Now I'm maxed out on staking on things like BEPRO, so I can't do that. But that's one portion of my pie that's very, very low management. It probably takes up 3 minutes of my week every week, right? So not each. So just because you have a lot of portions of your pie with different strategies does not mean that each one has a lot of time commitment allocated to it. All right, so let's try to look. Let's look at Phantom. I haven't covered Phantom in a while. I mean, it's got its daily 200 coming right at this important horizontal. I think just like most altcoins, I think it's just going to come down, make a 25-30% correction, wick below it, close above, yeah, 35. I think that's where the whole market's getting ready to hit a bunch of daily 200s besides Ethereum and Cardano. I think they're going to bounce significantly above or hang out just above and let it catch up for quite some time. So yeah, I think Phantom's doing pretty much what everything else is, what I think is going to do. Let's try one I haven't done, CQT. All right, so with my VIPs, I said I would sell here. And then I said, once it get a little higher, I said I would like 30 bag this, and I would 20 bag it if it got up to here. So right now, price is back at my 20 bag line. Did it double the price? It doubled. Wow. So the question is, yes, my first bag effort was too early, but I don't care. It would have been, you know, highly, highly profitable, assuming I bought down here at this breakout, which a lot of my VIPs were. We saw this breakout and we all kind of took a quick second during the video saying, oh my God, we're all seeing that. And the VIP session went a little quiet as we were all hitting market buy on this asset over here. But anyway, I sold too early. So the thing is, you know, what type of correction do I need to get in order to buy back lower? I need a 55% correction. Okay, 55% correction typically correlates with like a 500% move. Okay, so I'm going to unfairly measure from down here. At least I'm not measuring from the total bottom, but from the move where it started to string of green candles. Look at that. 524 over, so it might be a 55% correction with that. Maybe only 50, but let's do 55. And guess what? It hits a horizontal that I had laid out that you can't see on the daily chart. So, sold way too early, but how much lower am I going to be able to buy? 10% dip. But the second portion that I sold, not only would the first one be profitable in that case, but the second one be even more profitable, buying it almost 30% lower. And so, and those are what ifs. I don't know if that's where price is going to hit. I would imagine it at least comes back down to this line right here where this wick is on. So this is the 4-hour chart on CQT. I would imagine that at bare minimum. But yeah, I mean, what a great run. It's probably got a lot more in it the rest of this bull run. I don't know a lot of fundamentals on this coin, but my VIPs are ranting and raving about it. So if that's something that you want to get involved in, you know, and if you're like this coin, doing something like the Crackhead or VIP tier would be where a lot of those folks hang out who enjoy this coin, along with BEPRO and Polk. So let's go to Polk, see if it's doing what we thought. It's just like BEPRO. It's making that 4-hour swoop. So it's honestly, the chart's almost identical to BEPRO's at this juncture. It's doing the same thing. Idea being a dog. However, it's above its 4-hour 200 EMA and will potentially using it as support with a bunch of higher lows. So even if it fails this 200, I mean, I think it, you know, bounced it off 12.2. I think it's just going to allow the 4-hour 200 to go like this, bounce above, and then it can start taking off. Maybe meet up with the daily 55 that might be up here or something like that. So let's see where the daily 55 is. No, way too high. So it's actually flirting with all of it at once. So things are converging on idea, which is good for price action. Yeah, you're getting a lot of convergence on this asset, which is really good, actually. So just like how when these EMAs cross down, so what I mean cross down is the 10 cross below the yellow, then the red cross below yellow, then red and yellow cross below the blue. And that gives you a bunch of price action in that direction of the cross. But the same thing that happened here is about to happen again. The first part, step 1, the cross of red and yellow, 1, it just happened. Okay? It might undo itself, but it just happened. So the next is for the red and yellow to cross the blue, which is not that far away, could happen as soon as the end of this month, assuming Bitcoin doesn't tank. Bitcoin goes down, it might take a little longer, might happen at the beginning of September. So let's say the beginning of September, then you're going to get a fairly decent size move up, just like that fairly decent size move down. That could produce a move easily up to 41 cents. And that probably hits a horizontal somewhere, I would guess, right here. Freaking TA, swear to goodness. So I think idea is ready for a decent sized move. I mean, that's going to be a pretty big one, I think. That could be a pretty big one. And I do own this asset, and I do stake it on KuCoin, just a heads up. So I don't want to, shill technicals or anything. I'm strictly looking at price on the chart. So hopefully you don't interpret, my covering this, as shilling something, because I haven't even told you what it does, right? You're just looking at a chart and what's in the chart. All right, so let's look at another one I'm staking. And again, I'm not going to talk about fundamentals. This one's actually been kind of a dog. So, however, I do kind of like this structure, though. I like it when you see a ton of volatility, and then it slows down, slows down, slows down. It's usually pretty good, especially if you've made a higher low or two, which it has. It's looking to make its potential third higher low. And honestly, this might be one giant cup and handle. And cup and handles do kind of work in crypto. So I'm not a pattern trader, and I think they work because of reasons, not because it looks like a handle, but for other reasons. Cup and handle, a very big one, years long one. That's good. That's actually a year long cup and handle. That could lead to a pretty good move on a long-term standpoint. Not tomorrow, not next week, which I would assume to be down tomorrow and next week with Bitcoin. But long-term, this is looking okay. I won't do much short-term analysis on that one. Let's look at... Let's screw it. Let's look at Bolt. Bolt let us down. Ooh, it's barely above its daily 200. So Bolt went down lower than a lot of altcoins did that we were dealing with. I think Bolt's going to want to base back off of this area here. Right there, support, then resistance, then resistance. Then resistance, then support. I think it's going to hit that. I think that's an easy read. I think that's what it's going to hit, which should give it about a 35% correction or 40% from the top, which would align with a 20% dip in Bitcoin. And guess what? Yep, 50%. So it actually might come up a little higher than that. Might hit something like that right there. So it might hit all these, this support area. Just test this one more time and almost form a cup and a small handle. Even though, again, I don't like pattern trading, but, whatever. It works for different reasons. And that would probably be more in line with 35 to 40%. Yeah, so, well, it's still almost 50% from the top. But still, that's where I think it's going to hit. So if you're still in the Bolt, that's where God bless your patience. I think I got out of Bolt when it couldn't get back above its weekly 21. While most assets were above its weekly 21, I just cut my losses and bought other stuff or held tether and waited for another dip in another asset that I liked. DAPPT. Also right at its daily 200. Man, it's going to do something. This honestly looks like it might want to do something almost identical. So instead of coming down and hit the bottom of this target, it might hit the top of this area with this wick. So I think that's also a fairly easy read. Assuming Bitcoin makes some type of at least a mid-size or even small correction, I could see something like this for DAPPT, and that level is 0.00197. Hopefully that gives it roughly a 35 to 45% move down from the top, which is 42. That makes sense. That's probably what it's going to hit. So if you're looking to pick up DAPPT, that would be your level that I would try to do it. Not financial advice. 0.00197 is what I would do. Viacoin, here we go. So Viacoin per its daily 21 is actually positioned a little bit more weaker. It's positioned more weakly. So than a lot of assets. However, that's likely due to, was it because of this screen? 2,000% move up kind of does that. How big was its move down? Let's do it from that wick. Less than BEPRO's. So the thing I like about Viacoin right now, even though it's positioned more weakly under its 200, but the thing is, when you gain the 200 and lose the 200, that could potentially make even more momentum down and make a lower, a low lower than if you get a small rejection, form a higher low, try it again, break up. A lot of times the reaction down from a ping from below your first attempt is not an aggressive reaction, but a lot of other coins, they just screamed above, and it looks like they're going to come back down almost to the point structurally where Viacoin will come back down and other coins will go a little bit below it structurally to the same point, which goes in line with my idea that I think a lot of the major assets are going to sort themselves out and be positioned fairly similarly here within the next 2 months. It might not ever happen because Ethereum might just keep blowing stuff out of the water and taking Cardano with it. And yeah, I mean, it could happen, but I don't anticipate that that's what will happen. So it's another example of how, what that would visually look like on another asset here. All right, I think I am good to go. Let me see if I can do one more. Let's try MHC. So yeah, just like Viacoin, it's under its daily 200, probably get pinged, but its reaction to it might not be that severe because you usually get rejected on your first pass of trying to break a formidable opponent or a formidable resistance, which after it breaks it, it'll be a formidable point of support. I think this is looking pretty similar to what Viacoin's was. Let's see what the percentage run was from about here. Was it also 2,000? Yeah, wow, very similar chart. So MHC and Viacoin did almost identical things, and they're almost still identical. That's strange. Let's see what their 4-hour RSIs are doing. So this is resetting while staying pretty steady. It's pretty solid price action. For Bitcoin kind of going down, this is holding steady with its 4-hour RSI chilling out down here. That looks like it wants to give it another try. What was I looking at before? Viacoin. Oh, I must have been on VIA versus BTC. You know what? I had to have been. So this is way. Oh, this is this 4-hour 200. Okay, I was on the right chart. And it's 4-hour though. It's also doing so. So it's coming down, resetting while price is staying pretty flat. I would still say if Bitcoin keeps heading down, those are going to succumb pretty quickly and readily to Bitcoin's downward price action. So, all right. So if you enjoyed what you saw here, most of you probably returning viewers, just hit like, leave me a comment, even if it's you suck, haha. And if you're new, you liked what you saw, hit subscribe. But before you go, if you subscribe, let me know if you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. Those are the two crypto pronouns that we use here on this channel. They're both gender neutral. They can be gender fluid if you wish, and we'll see you next time.